So you've put down this beautiful thick layer of mulch in your garden, and you step back and think, now what? How do I actually get my plants in there? It kind of feels like a puzzle, right? Well, today we're going to solve it. Let's dig in.
I mean, who doesn't dream of a gorgeous, thriving garden that doesn't require all the backbreaking work? Just picture it, happy plants, soil that stays nice and moist, and almost no weeds to pull. This isn't a fantasy, it's totally achievable with the right approach.
And the hero of this whole low-maintenance garden story, it's mulch. You can just think of it as a protective blanket you tuck over your soil. It can be something organic, like wood chips or straw, or even something inorganic. But its number one job is just to protect the soil.
So why is everybody so obsessed with mulch? Honestly, it's a total game changer. It literally smothers weeds so they can't even get started. It holds onto moisture like a sponge, which means you're watering way less. It keeps the soil from getting too hot or too cold, stops it from washing away, and get this, as it breaks down, it actually improves your soil over time. It is an absolute win-win.
Okay, so we've established that mulch is awesome. But now for the big question, the main event. How in the world do you actually get your plants in the ground when there's this thick layer covering everything? Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
This really is the heart of the matter, isn't it? It feels a little wrong, you know? You just put down this perfect protective layer, and now you're supposed to mess it all up? How do you do that without making a huge mess or, even worse, hurting your new plant?
Well, I'm here to tell you the answer is a big, loud yes. You absolutely can plant in a mulched bed. And not only is it possible, it's actually super easy once you know the little trick. The secret is all in the technique. Okay, here it is, the super simple 5-step process. Step 1, just pull the mulch back with your hands. You're making a little clearing right down to the bare soil. 2, dig your hole like you normally would. 3, pop your plant in, making sure it's sitting at the same level as it was in its pot. 4, fill the hole back in with soil. And now for the crucial final step. 5, gently push the mulch back towards the plant. But, and this is important, leave a little gap, like a donut, right around the stem. This keeps it from rotting. See? So easy. Okay, listen up, because if you only remember one thing from this explainer, please let it be this. Do not mix the mulch and the soil together. Think of them as two completely separate layers with two separate jobs. Soil on the bottom, mulch on top. Always. Right? So you can see it here. The right way, mulch is just a top dressing, like a blanket. The wrong way is digging it into the planting hole. And you might be wondering, what's the big deal? Well, it's a huge deal. When you mix mulch into the soil, it can temporarily suck up vital nutrients like nitrogen, basically starving your new plants right when they need that food the most. Okay, so that method works perfectly for seedlings and bigger plants. But what about seeds? What if you want to grow something like carrots or lettuce straight from seed in your garden? Well, that calls for a slightly different tactic.
Yeah, planting those itty-bitty seeds presents a totally different challenge. I mean, think about it. A tiny little seed just doesn't have the oomph to push its way up through a thick 4-inch layer of wood chips. So what do? How do you give them a fighting chance and still get all those benefits of mulch? And hey, this isn't just a theoretical problem. As this gardener on Reddit points out, it's a real-world headache. Trying to sprinkle tiny seeds over thick mulch is just a recipe for disappointment. And it makes perfect sense, right? They need direct contact with soil to germinate.
But don't worry, the solution is beautifully simple. It's basically the same idea as with the seedlings. You just pull the mulch away to create a patch of bare earth. You can make a small circle or even a long, thin line if you're planting in rows. You sow your seeds directly into the soil in that little nest, and then once they've sprouted and are a few inches tall, you can gently add the mulch back around them. All right, let's switch gears and tackle one of the biggest myths in all of gardening. This is a concern I hear all the time, and honestly, it stops a lot of people from using fantastic materials like wood chips. So here's the fear, right? The idea is that as wood chips break down, the microorganisms doing all the work will just gobble up all the nitrogen in the soil, leaving none for your precious plants. It kind of sounds plausible, doesn't it? But is it actually true? The crucial point here is that this is a myth born from a simple misunderstanding. As long as you apply it correctly, as a layer on top of the soil, wood chip mulch will not starve your plants. I promise.
Let's look at the science for just a sec. Researchers have confirmed that while some nitrogen is used up during decomposition, this only happens in an incredibly thin layer right where the soil and mulch meet. It is way too shallow to affect your plant's roots.
And here's the best part, that tiny nitrogen-deficient layer is actually your secret weapon. It's just deep enough to prevent little weed seeds from germinating on the surface. Isn't that wild? The very thing people were so afraid of is actually helping you fight weeds. It's perfect.
Whew, okay. We've covered a lot of ground, so let's wrap this all up with a simple action plan that summarizes everything you need to know to get started with total confidence.
All right, here is your cheat sheet. First off, yes, you can absolutely plant into deep mulch. Just remember to clear a space and keep mulch away from the plant stem. For seeds, create a small, clear nest for them to sprout in. Don't be afraid of the nitrogen myth. It's actually helping you fight weeds. And finally, the golden rule. Mulch always goes on top, never mix it in.
With these simple techniques, you are so ready to create a healthier, low-maintenance garden. Every single seed you plant is a step towards fresh food and that simple joy of watching something grow. So I have to ask, what's one plant you're ready to grow? A sun-ripened tomato? A row of fragrant basil? Whatever you choose, I hope this leaves you inspired to get out there and start growing.